Good morning, everybody. Welcome to North Bennett Street School's virtual open house. I'm Claire Friedman. I'm the provost, and I'm also a graduate of the cabinet and furniture making program. And lucky for you, that's where you're going to start today. Later on, you'll see locksmithing and security technology. Right now, I want to introduce Dan Faya, the department head of cabinet and furniture making. Have a great time today. Enjoy yourselves, and see you later.
Thank you, Claire.
So we're on a tour with Rob.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, and I think we're our first stop. We're gonna visit Svetlana and Lance.
Hi guys.
Hey, how are you doing today?
We're doing good.
What are you working on?
I'm finalizing my toolbox project, which I'm going to start next semester. And Lance here, it's helping me out to work on some problems that I run into.
Okay, cool.
Little corrections to make.
Nice. And so with the toolbox, you get to choose like different types of wood, numbers of drawers, things like that.
Yeah, we're just giving like basic parameters that we need to stick within, and after that, it is actually the first project that we get to design on our own, and use all the stuff that we learned prior to build it. And
Cool.
The joinery, like drawers, sides, everything, dovetails.
And what choices in your project have you made that you're excited about?
I designed it around the fitting my 2-foot starred blade into one of the drawers. So it had to be, the drawer inside had to be long enough to accommodate that. And also my bottom drawer had to be tall enough where I could store my large router plane, which is about like 3 5/8. So I had to accommodate for like parents, bottom drawer, the little grooves that we made for spacing. So I designed it around that, and the rest is just like filling in the gaps.
Cool. Now, Svetlana, we have a live audience with us, and I feel like a lot of times when people are thinking of coming here, they'll wonder like, what am I doing and how can I see myself there? Would you share with us a little bit of your story and how you found North Bennett Street School?
Yeah, I found North Bennett Street School sitting at home, and a news story came up, and I was just like, oh my God. I never knew like such a school existed. So I immediately called you the very next day, and like within a week I was like doing all my stuff and to get enrolled. And a week later COVID hit. But I submitted all the paperwork on time. I was admitted, and actually I started last year because I'm a graduate from a carpentry program. And then couple months into the carpentry program, I decided just doing the carpentry was not enough. So I enrolled into the cabinet and furniture program, which is a 2-year program, because I wanted to learn like everything that there is to learn, or as much as I can for my time here in North Bennett. And I am, I get here early, I stay late, I work as fast as I can so I could finish as many projects as I can. So while I'm here, the instructors can help me, work on different stuff, trying to take as much as I can.
That's great. And any advice for anybody who is thinking of coming in this direction from your vantage point now?
And do it. Don't think about tuition or stuff. There's so much help out there. There's so many private scholarships. School offers scholarships. Just do it. Like you would, if you're thinking about it, and if you don't do it, you're gonna regret it. And that is because like in the beginning when I started, I didn't go right away from cabinet and furniture because I was like, oh my God, 2 years. Like that's such a long time. I'm a mom. I was working. I'm gonna do this, and then now I'm being here 3 years. It can happen. There's a way. It's the community is amazing. Once you get here, you have so much support. It's crazy.
That's great. Svetlana, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
good luck with
to
your
everybody.
toolbox.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lance. All right.
Where are we gonna head, Rob?
I think we're gonna go check out Melanie's blanket chest. And also while we're coming by here, I'll just poke my head in here. How's it going, everybody?
All right, Rob.
There's a chair workshop with Peter Galbert. And so folks are working with Greenwood. How's it going, everybody?
Great.
And hey, Melanie, how are you? Good. So thanks for sharing with us today. You're working on a blanket chest that has some traditional stuff and some customization here.
Yeah, so this is an Army retirement gift for my brother. He's not going to be retiring for a couple more years, but I figured I'd get it done now. And this is a traditional chest that we draft in our first semester. It's a 17th century blanket chest. And on the front here, these carvings are the traditional carvings,
Okay.
strap carvings, and it would usually be all 3 panels. And it would usually be done in oak. I did it in cherry. And then in the center, instead of the traditional carving, I did this little skull and crossbones on the clover because that's my brother's unit insignia, and they are the Lucky Bastards.
Cool.
Yeah.
And does he know you're making this, or is this a surprise?
He knows.
He does?
Yeah, we've been talking about it, and I send him progress picture updates. I want him to know how the sausage is made, so he appreciates what a nice retirement gift this is.
Cool. And Melanie, will you tell us a little bit about your background and your story and how you came to North Bennett Street School?
Yeah, it's complicated and varied, but before this, I was in the Army for 5 years, and for a year after that, I was a DoD contractor. My brother is actually the person who kind of gave me the kick in the pants to apply. I was complaining once again about how much I hated my job and how I'd rather make furniture. And he was like, you should probably just do that. Yeah, so I did. And here I am. And I'm 4th semester now, and it's been a great program, and I'm excited to graduate and get started.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing. I feel like it's helpful for people that are in our audience, because a lot of people, have complex things going on in their life and sometimes need that kick in the pants, whether it comes from inside or from a sibling. And I think it's also so cool that, you're making this chest for your brother who's going to retire, and he's kind of, in a way, the inspiration for you being here. So
yeah, he also bought me a very nice, like $500 set of chisels for Christmas last year, and I used every single one of them.
yeah. Cool. Melanie, any advice for anybody from your vantage point now, being here, things that you kind of wish you knew or anything like that?
I would say, like, if you have any reservations about it, you're like, oh, I don't know if I know enough, or if I will fit in, don't worry about it. Like, my only woodworking experience before coming was over a decade ago, a couple of years of architecture school, which was like not this kind of stuff, like MDF and like installation art and very loosey-goosey. And I was a little bit worried about my experience level, and I got here and I realized it doesn't matter. Like, they will start you from the very bottom, build your fundamentals, make you comfortable, and get you up to speed.
That's great. Melanie, thank you so much, and congratulations on this beautiful project.
Thank you, Rob.
All right. So cabinet and furniture making is our largest program here at North Bennett Street School. We have space for about 40 students. Our student to teacher ratio is 13:1. So we'll have about it's four instructors that are up here. Dan?
We have 4 full-time instructors and 1 part-time instructor.
Great. And you can see there's a lot of people are working on various projects. The toolbox that we saw, Svetlana is just starting as a first semester student who probably just finished her shaker nightstand. Is that true, Dan?
So they just about as a group wrapped up the shaker nightstand, which is kind of the culmination of all the fundamentals, the introduction for the handwork and machine work, and that's their first project. And once they get through the required drawings, then they can work on designing the toolbox project. So that usually flows into the second semester where this group is right now.
Cool. And then one of the things that I like about the projects here is that the tool chest, it's all, you know, putting practical lessons to work, but also the toolbox is a scale model of a chest of drawers, which is something that you may make as a commission at some point.
Yeah,
So-
so the shaker nightstand project is an introduction to table construction that brings together all those things, and the toolbox is an introduction to traditional casework. You know, so it is part of the philosophy of how we're trying to teach the build.
Cool. And we're going to visit now with Aiden. Aiden, how are you doing today? Great. And you're also working on, looks like, some dovetails for your toolbox. And Aiden, what semester are you in?
I'm in the second semester.
Cool. Will you share with us a little bit about your story and how you came to North Bennett Street School?
Sure. I started doing woodworking in high school. I went to CRLS and they had a oak tech program at school. So I was really interested in sorry about that. I was really interested in the carpentry program, and they train you to kind of go into the union afterwards. And
Okay.
I didn't really want to go into the union. I didn't want to do drywall 8 hours a day. So my teacher, who had taught here previously, told me about this place, and it was always kind of in my sights. And so right after high school, I graduated and I went to UMass, and it was all online. COVID had just hit, and I didn't think this place was open. I was just hating the online school, so I decided that I would immediately leave and try my luck here, and I got in, and it was honestly just the best decision that I've made so far. So that's a little bit about how I got here. But
That's great. When we were, so Aiden went to Cambridge Range and Latin.
Yeah.
Which also has vocational education. And as Aiden mentioned, one of their instructors used to be an instructor in the carpentry program, right? And I'm repeating some of this stuff because I know it's a little bit hard to hear.
Yeah.
It's a little noisy in our area. And so I just want to make sure that people at home could hear. And then we do a lot of tours through all of the programs, and Aiden has been talking with prospective students that have been coming through. It's one of the reasons why I asked Aiden if we could stop by and speak with him. And one of the things you brought up, Aiden, was that you're one of the younger people that's in the program, and I feel like, you know, we're maybe average age around 30. Our age limit is 120, I think. Nobody's beat it. And we're 18 and up. But I also feel like there's something in a way that's ageless about how people come here and what their attraction is. And would you speak to that a little bit?
yeah, honestly, even though I'm the youngest here by number, it doesn't seem to make much of a difference because we all come in with the same kind of idea of what we want to get done here. And so a lot of the work that we do is much more geared towards, let me start over.
Yeah.
The age doesn't really seem to matter. I mean, I'm 19 now, and I came in at 18, and it was like I walked in and I was like, oh geez, everyone here is older than me. I was kind of nervous, and then it was like, oh well, I've done some of this in high school, and I can wrap my head around it a little easier. You know, I haven't been given any bad habits yet as far as woodworking goes because I'm younger, so that is kind of an advantage that I have. I can I feel like I can learn things a little faster. And so that's definitely a benefit to be young in this program. And plus this trade in particular needs much more young people. So as a young person in this trade, people like to compensate you with old tools and whatnot. So that's nice too. But so
That's great. And Aiden, any advice that you could give to anybody in our audience from your perspective now, being here for a little while?
Yeah. So the one mistake that I made was not applying right out of high school because I was afraid that I just wouldn't get in. But of course, you're never actually going to know unless you apply.
That's a great point.
Once I got in, I was like, oh, it almost really only matters that you have understanding of a creative process and a will to learn the hand skills, because they'll let you in and they'll build you from the ground up. So it's just best to try. It's not like one of those dance around the fence kind of thing. You kind of just have to go for it, because once you're here, you're pretty committed to it. I mean, it seems very niche, so you kind of have no choice.
Cool. Aiden, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right. So now we're gonna visit with Krista. How are you? Cool. Good. And what are you working on, Krista?
I am working on my toolbox. The toolbox is a lesson to help us get really into dovetails and drawer making. It's one of the main projects that we can really gain a lot of knowledge in well-made construction. Great. So what I like to do with one thing that I've been learning here is that I like to add some of my own design elements to these projects.
Right.
So, we're learning how to make really well-made furniture here. And then how to balance that, something that you're going to bring to it that's unique to you, but still maintain that integrity of well-made furniture and not have that be compromised.
Okay.
So I added a little bit of pink veneer. I work a lot with skateboard veneer.
Cool.
It's thicker, it's lighter, and they've been really, Dan and Matt have been really supportive of my creative process in terms of how do we make that happen, but still maintain the fundamentals without compromising them. Because a lot of times you can see furniture that looks great, but it's not going to last. So that's like a really nice balance that I'm learning here. So, and then I have like something like this where instead of just turning a regular knob, I wanted to make it a more of an interactive experience. So when you turn it, the light goes on inside.
Oh, nice.
So with a shake and light stand, it would make sense that if you didn't get into it at night,
Right.
you just turn the knob and you've got a light inside the drawer.
Very cool. And this is similar as well with sort of the skateboarding material.
And then I play around with finishes so that if you can see, this is really a matte finish, but this is really glossy so that the light hits that knob first.
Right.
So you're playing with different, you're playing with the light in the room.
Cool.
So this is also skateboarding there as well. And I turned it on the lathe.
Will you also show us the table behind you, which I think very cool.
I've been working with a lot of clear walnut, and that is a species of walnut that's comes from Northern California. And I want to give a shout out to Diane Roberts, who helped me get this walnut.
That's great.
She found it for me, and so I have been making everything out of it. And what I did here, with the help of my instructor Jamie, is we laminated the skateboard veneer into the leg, and I turned that as well. So what I'm really striving to do, if you think about like the whole the motivation here in terms of traditional design work with the types of designs we're learning here,
Right.
The traditional cabriolet leg, long flat feet. I say this endearingly, but it's like I'm trying to bridge something that's a little more fresh
Yeah.
into this more traditional design aesthetic, so that we can get that conversation going again.
I think it's great.
Because if I say, you've seen one cabriolet leg, you've seen them all, I don't think I'm making that up. But the craftsmanship that goes into making that leg it's 100 years old. And it's important that we maintain that type of tradition and that type of fundamental artistry. But how do we get people's attention again? How do we stop them from picking up the paintbrush and painting it white?
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, let me see if I can bring some interest that has a slight contemporary edge to it
Mm-hmm.
and bridge it into these more traditional aesthetics.
Well, I'd say you're doing it. I wouldn't say you're trying. I'd say
Yeah.
you're making it happen. And that's really great.
The next step to actually do the cabriolet style, because then I can really see if anybody,
Right.
oh, that's pretty, what is that? And then I can teach you what a cabriolet leg is.
All right, Tony Hawk, we're talking to you. Get some
Yeah, and
furniture.
bridging those generations that may not even know what that is, you know? So, and this is the same skateboard here done in a,
It's beautiful.
yeah, I just, my mind went blank.
Krista,
Herringbone veneer, there we go. You got it.
herringbone veneer.
Yeah.
Very
Sorry,
nice.
so.
And then I wanted to check in with you. We were just talking to Aiden, who said, you know, he was a year or so out of high school before he applied, and then I know your story. You came to open house. What was it? Maybe 3 years ago or
Well,
so.
it was just before COVID. It was
Right.
That November.
Right.
The last open house.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID hit, but I was actually accepted here when I was 20, which we talked about.
Right.
In 1990. So 30 years later, you can do the math.
Yeah.
And I have no problem representing sort of that middle-aged group of people who decide they want to, you know, not put a limit on their creativity and their inspiration. You can still do it, you know, you can still take that leap. So it's a dream come true to be here for me. And I'm really, every day I'm so excited I get to be here. So, and it like Aiden said, the age thing is, it's not really, it's a blurred boundary here. Because
Right.
We all cross-pollinate, we all share stories and inspiration, and we go to the other side of the room and we come here. And so it's really not a big deal. It's actually, it makes that diversity something that we can really lean on and leverage against, because we all have different life experiences. And Aiden brings something that, you know, so far removed from me.
Right.
Because I don't know what's going on. And I bring that to him. So
Thank you so much for sharing. And I remember when we met, and, you know, being someone who was accepted previously, but for whatever the circumstances,
Right.
you weren't able to come, but you still had this kind of calling, if you will, about wanting to get here. And we're so happy that you're here
yeah,
now.
thank you. And thanks for stopping by.
You got
Krista's bench.
it. Cool. John, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Also working on a toolbox.
Yes, I am.
Great. Will you share with us what it is you're up to?
Yeah, I'm currently putting finish on the toolbox and applying some shellac to the inside and the drawer parts so that it'll be able to run nicely when it's all said and done.
Nice. And what kind of wood is this you're working with here?
This is African mahogany.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if we can see at home, but there's these kind of reddish and brown shades here that are just, it's a little bit different than a lot of the things we see. So
Yeah, it's got a really cool grade to it.
nice. And John, will you tell us your story about finding North Bennett Street School and how you came to be here?
Yeah, definitely. I went to a high school for creative and performing arts because I wanted to originally be an architect. And I did scenic design and construction, but it was kind of on the weekends and during summers where I started to really get interested in furniture making. So after high school, I eventually heard about this school from a family friend and ended up applying. I guess that was back in 2013, maybe somewhere around there. And ended up joining a religious order in the Catholic Church. So eventually I got through the wait list, but Rob and I were able to track me to a later date after I finished other studies in Chicago.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, this is a theme I think that's developing here, is that because of life circumstances, the timing really makes a difference for people. And sometimes people don't get started at exactly the time that they want. But if you're persistent, and it's something that's still, kind of calling you, you can get here. So,
Yeah, definitely.
John, do you have any advice for anybody in our audience from where you are now? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I guess I would say, if you're interested in the program, and even if it might be a year, 10 years down the road, whatever it might be, keep pursuing it to some level, and finding out ways to teach yourself or taking small classes here or there, because that's what I was trying to do in between that time where I was waiting to have the opportunity to come here. And I think it's really paid off a lot.
That's great. John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. So we're gonna turn the corner here.
Some of these folks are in that winter chair workshop you stopped by in the beginning.
Sure.
So they're,
And then this is Conrad's chair he's working on. And then he's also making a few blanket chests,
you'll see those around the corner. John's up here on the
his
on the left
toolbox.
here. Pop in.
Cool. Hey, John, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. So we're live for open house.
Oh, excellent.
And we're wondering if you could share with us what it is you're up to. What are you working on?
What am I up to? Okay, well, I am actually in the middle of a winter chair workshop. So in this workshop, we are basically going from log to chair. So we started by literally learning how to split a log of green red oak and get from that the bow of the chair. So this would be the bow, which we shaved down to a shape, and then we put it in a steam box and we bent it.
Okay.
And then we get the spindles out of ash, and we're taking and we turn legs and stretch. We're going to turn the stretchers next, turning legs and stretch. So basically, right now we're shaping the parts.
Okay.
And we're going to put it all together by starting to fit the legs into the seat, which is pine. The seat's pine. So you've got a piece of pine, you've got green wood from red oak, you've got ash, and you've got maple legs. And we'll start putting the legs in, and then we will fit well, actually, I think we'll be boring the holes for the bow, and then we'll be fitting the spindles to the bow into the seat. So it's quite a process. And to me, the most interesting part of it is taking something from tree to furniture.
Right.
And the idea that I could actually do this at home with logs. I could see myself spending a Saturday splitting and writing wood, right? And that would be really, I think that's
Cool.
So, yeah.
John, I noticed there's a bunch of lines on the pine part of the seat. Does this have to do with when you start shaping this, what the depth or the shape is going to be?
No, actually, this has to do with where you drill the holes, the angle that you drill them at. So
I see.
this is each of the legs and the spindles, they have a rake to them and they have a splay to them. So they have two, it's compound, right? So
Okay.
this is a sight line. And then we made a jig, or actually Peter, our instructor, brought a jig that allows us to line up a part of the jig on this dot, but that's on this sight line.
Okay.
When I do that, and then I use my drill, there's a fixture on the jig that guides the drill, but it's guiding it at the angle that I've set based on this sight line. So this is a sight line for that hole, sight line for that hole, sight line, sight line for each of these holes. That's the purpose of it. Nothing on here about the shape until you look here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a skort.
All right.
And then we will be shaping the actual seat based on this line, which we're going to use a tool I haven't used before. So we're going to find out about that, I think, when we come back from the break. But we'll be shaping the seat based on that line. And yeah, so that's
nice.
It's quite a process. It's very interesting work, a lot of handwork, a lot of just making things square and then taking square things and making them octagons and then refining them a bit to make them be able to fit into these holes. So I mean, I enjoy that process. I enjoy that type of work. I enjoy the hand tool work. It's a different kind of it's just a different feel to it, right?
Cool.
It's like change from what I've been, other things that I've been working on. So
Right. Speaking of which, John, will you share your story of how you came to North Bennett Street School? What were you doing before you came here?
yeah, absolutely. So I am retired military, but I'm also a elementary school teacher. So I teach here in the city of Boston, 1st through 6th grade science, and my school graciously gave me a 2-year leave of absence to be able to come here and kind of fulfill a lifelong dream. So I've been a hobbyist.
Okay.
And, this is something that I could see myself doing in retirement for pleasure, primarily, because I derive great pleasure from it. But I know the idea of becoming an expert at something that's a hobby.
Right.
It's really why I wanted to pursue this. So that's what I hope to do in retirement. In the meantime, when I get back to school, I had a woodworking club before I came here.
Right.
I hope to take it up another level.
I'll bet you will. I was going to ask how this might impact your goals and career as a teacher as well.
Now, I tell you, this might seem crazy, but I could see a 10-year-old building a woodworking chair.
Okay.
I think I could see them. Everything that we've done so far is really safe. There's a lot of positive control of tools, and I think you can do this with a 10-year-old.
All right. What do you think, Dan? I'll bring mine in tomorrow. John, thank you very much.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you.
And Dan, this is your bench over here, isn't it? Okay.
So right now, the 3rd and 4th semester students are working with Peter Galbert, who is a friend of the school. He's kind of the expert in the field. We've all done some Windsors, but it's nice to be able to bring somebody like Peter into the fold. He also has a graduate of ours, an alumni that works with him, Charlie Ryland.
That's right.
So Charlie's in there actually working right now with the group. I typically, as far as the instruction in the program, oversee the program. I teach a lot of the traditional chair work. So like the modern chair that you'll see over on the side, we can see some of the chairs kicking around the shop. That's kind of one of my leads. I lead the 3rd semester students most of the time, where Lance Patterson, who you met in the beginning, leads our 4th semester students. So the more experience, the more detail. But then we have Matt Wada kind of leads 2nd semester, where you were talking about the toolboxes, and Jamie Pope is leading our 1st semester group right now. So right now I'm kind of in limbo helping all of the other semesters because my folks are busy doing Windsors with Pete and Charlie. So, but anyways, this is where I teach. We try to do small group instruction when we can. There's a lot of individual work in the program. But in this section, like I said, we have a monitor to be able to project video. It could be recorded video or we already have from previous or up close video. Obviously our own whiteboards and whatnot. And every instructor has their own home base for that type of instruction. Plus there's a demonstration room for larger group instruction as well. So
cool. And then Dan, you've been the head of the program for a number of years now.
I think this is 13 years, something like that.
And you also, if I recall correctly, you came out of here right out of high school. I think, where did you go? Swampscott?
Went to Swampscott High School.
And they had a woodworking program now that is transitioned to robotics. But we got Dan out of there before then, thankfully. And then before you came on board as a faculty member, you're also instrumental in creating the 3-month furniture intensive.
Yeah, so I got involved in the workshop or CE program as it is now. Actually, back when I was a student, I graduated here in December of 1994. And that summer, I started on the workshop program, assisting like Will Neptune and Paula Gabarino and some of the founders of our CE program the way it is now. And then I got into teaching, and I had taught workshops, since '94. was active in that. And then I got into developing quite a few workshops. So the 3-month intensive was a combination of all of the CE classes we were teaching and folks that really wanted to come full time, but maybe could never make that bridge. And it was a way to get them some really good high-end quality skills in a program that happened every day. So there was a commitment to coming in, and it kind of filtered and hit a need right off the bat. But what we found out is it's a filter for people to actually test the waters before coming here, and that was an unforeseen advantage. They come here with a little bit more of a heads up of what a day in the life of a North Bennett Street student is. And even
Right.
though they're going to repeat information, they're going to get a more depth, chance here when they're talking to the instructors. They'll repeat the information. They might need to get some information that they had missed the first time, or just hearing it again just makes them a little bit better. But
And it helps people to kind of hit the ground running.
hit the ground running.
And I think what's interesting for our audience, first, I want to just share with everyone that continuing education has returned. As of, I think, last Monday, you can go and see what's being offered and look to see if anything fits what your interests and goals are. But then I also find it fascinating in talking with the students. I want to say Svetlana and Melanie mentioned, hey, if you even don't have a lot of woodworking experience, you can come right into this program, and the curriculum and the faculty and your will and effort will build you up from a place. So there's many different entry points. I don't want for people to think that it's necessary to go to the 3-month before they come,
No.
but people come in every direction.
Yeah, and again, if you're here and you're committed and you have the will and desire to do it, we'll help you get, through it and do the best you can. If you have some experience coming in, or if you're unsure, I think the workshop program is a good way to get a taste of really what we're about. But it's not necessary to do those things to come here. If you do apply and you work with Rob and Sharon, and then Rob and I will sit down and talk about you and your application and all those things. And if it just seems like a right fit for everybody, then you're welcome. So
That's great. Speaking of which, we have a January 31st start. Our class is, I think, mostly built, but we do still have a couple of spots if you're interested, and we're also recruiting for the September 6th start as well, and into the foreseeable future, as you heard from some of the students that are here now. Cool.
it's always good to start that dialogue.
Absolutely. So we're going in a circle around the bench room here, and the machine room is in the middle. I'll put the camera up to the window, but we'll stay out of there. And I also want to make sure for our audience at home, we have some time to answer any questions that you might have about the program. I will be hosting an information session this Friday at 11. So if you have any questions, want to learn more about admissions requirements, process, financial aid, scholarship, you can use this same registration to meet with me Friday at 11. And of course, you can contact the school directly, admissions@nbss.edu. But if you have questions that are specific to the cabinet and furniture making program, Dan is here with us now, and he can answer those questions. So I'm looking at the chat. I can see it here. So if anyone has any questions, now is a great time. And we're also, this section that we're in right now, we're with students that just started here this past September. We started on the other side, speaking with Svetlana. Her bench is the one on the light with the lights on up to the top right there. And in this semester, everyone learns how to draft. There are full-scale drafts I'll show you this. And this is something that people may or may not build. I'm not sure how these lines might come across here. That looks pretty good. And this is freehand and full scale. And everyone, regardless of the experience that you have coming in, if you have mechanical drawing or architecture or anything like that, that's certainly helpful. But just like the woodworking, you will learn this here. And I would say, I don't know what people's opinions are that are in the middle of it, but when you get through this, I think people look back and can understand the value of, I think, helping with spatial intelligence, things like
all the
that.
drafting we do, any project you're going to build, we want to be able to draw full size drawing. And whether I do it by hand still, but there are folks that want to do CAD drawings and whatnot. But the understanding of the hand full size drawings, we're actually building the projects on paper first. We're trying to problem solve, trying to answer all of the questions. And we have a set curriculum of drafts that they need to do. And those drawings are going to help build a few things. They're going to learn the joinery, they're going to learn terminology, how the furniture is constructed. They're going to learn proportion. They learn a little bit of design through that. So it's an introduction to a core thing of materials at that point, and information. So as they step out into designing their own pieces, their own projects, whether it's traditional or not, they have that vocabulary and that knowledge to start with our help to design those things. And hopefully by the time you graduate, your problem solving skills, your understanding of the fundamentals of construction, all of those things culminate together to make you a productive furniture maker.
That's great. So there's 5 full-scale pieces of furniture that you'll draw.
Yep.
There's a 20-pack of joinery.
Yep, it's a joiner. It's an introduction to basically learn how to draft, but also those core packet of 20 are joints that you'll use in your furniture. So they're references for the students as they're designing now and after they get out. In each full-size drawing, they're projects that if somebody really wanted to build those, they're good learning projects as well. They're useful drawings, not just
Right.
draft.
Right, and like now, as we
So
walked
right
around,
there. Yeah,
we
right
can
there's
see the
chest.
blanket chest,
Yeah.
which we've passed a number of blanket chests, including the lucky one that Melanie's making. And then interspersed with the drawings, Dan, is also people will turn their own mallet. They'll make their own marking gauge. They'll make this
stone box. We have they do all the practice joinery, so we do dovetails, mortise and tenon, lap joints. They do an introduction to machine woodworking that we actually built a small candle box. I think there's probably one floating around here somewhere.
Yep, there's
See them up top.
right.
But it's just a way to get people in there to learn, like I said, the basics, the introduction to be able to work to a high level accurately and safely. And that pertains to the machine work and the bench work. The bench work is just as demanding and has its own safety risks as well. So we want to teach people proper use of hand tools and maintenance and how to work. We do that.
Cool. That's great.
If you want, if we have time, there's no questions, you can pop in the library or the finishing room.
Yeah, will you show us the library and the finishing room, Dan?
So coming up here, this is the instructor bench where Jamie Pope is, where he's leading the first semester.
Okay. Hey, Art, how are you?
So what happens with a lot of things in CFM, especially our library that's grown over the years, we get alumni like Art to volunteer to help us. So we get a lot of book donations from alums or other people who know the school. Our library is probably about 1,600 or so books at this point.
18, almost 19.
Oh, almost 1,900 books at this point, because we had two new donations that came in this year, and this has grown. If we walk out of this room, there's a mahogany cabinet out there. When I was a student here in 1992 and 94, we had that one cabinet worth of books.
Right.
It's grown to this whole library that is packed. Now we're looking for another expansion at this point.
That's great.
And their references, we do have some books digitally. We have a program on the computer that, with help from folks like Art and Jeannie Thorndike and Dan Weissman that helped us be able to get it so you can access the books outside of the building as far as knowing what we have. When we've had things donated, like Peter Galbraith's donated videos to us, you can access that to the library. So anyways, it's a lot more interactive in a way, but it's still a real book. You can sit down, you can get inspired by it. We design from them. We use them for building ideas and whatnot. And it can be anything from historical to technical, and it can be a smattering of basic carpentry all the way through upholstery, finishing, carving. There's all different types of sections in here that we've done. And the books and also the magazines. Fine Woodworking magazines from day one. American Woodworker magazines, Antiques magazines, home furniture, all the different things that you could think of in the modern ones too. We try to keep the Morrison Tennant magazines up to date with them. We have a good relationship with Lost Art Press. We try to support their work. We have a Lost Art press section of books that we're trying to keep up to date.
That's great. And then we also, I think Lance has been taking photographs of people's work, and then Lance also has his own book, and I can recall Timo made a chest of drawers that had kind of a part of a herringbone pattern that he came and got inspired out of that book. And then my other thought in listening to you, Dan, is with the library expansion, the cabinet that's outside, isn't that Massa's cabinet? No?
That cabinet was built in remembrance of George Fullerton, who basically really transformed the program back in the early 1950s. But he was like Lance's instructor, and Will Neptune and Brian Kelly and Alex Krutsky, they were the instructors at the time when George had passed. They built that cabinet in remembrance of him.
Oh, nice.
But Massa's cabinet that you're referring to is actually down in Claire's office.
That's right.
Which is housing some of kind of the rare books that pertain to the early parts of the school and some of the instructional for the Sloyd techniques for kids and whatnot. So
very cool.
It has a purpose, but it's linked to our library as well. So we know where those books are.
That's great. The provost has the reference section.
She does.
Excellent. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Will you show us the finish room,
Sure.
Dan? Hey, Alex. Yeah.
I guess this is a good time to ask questions. Yeah, go ahead. So I just did probably like 20 coats on this or so. Yeah. And it's starting to get sticky when I'm putting it on. Yep. So should I scrape it now? Or how long's it been since your last coat? We're probably approaching half an hour. Yeah, if you want, you can hit it with the razor blade and get the dust out of there. But basically, you don't want to sand it yet. It's too soft to do that. But you can get the flowers out and you can pat it up to session. Okay. Not a big deal for the bottom. Have you done anything on the top? I might flip it to a session on the top. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, I'm glad I got the ads. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, does this fan have a switch in here that we can just turn off?
So you don't like that ambient noise?
I'm a big fan of ambient noise, but I'd much rather hear the two of you now. So thank you for that.
Just turn out the exhaust fans now. Pretty much all the finishes we do, we teach are hand applied finishes. So,
Right.
In the beginning with Shaker Nightstand, we actually do a lot of shellac, like introduction to shellac work. It's a product that we can use that's easily manipulated. You can have a satin sheen up to a really high polish. It's pretty easy to work with. If there are mistakes in it, it's easily repairable. It's a traditional finish as well. But we do, shellac, we do some oil-based finishes. We do a little bit of paint work, depending. We do some milk paint on the winter chairs will probably be painted projects. Some of the nightstands that have been painted as well. But we do have access to a spray booth. We have one of our instructors, Matt Wada, is a lot more versed in spray technology than a lot of us. And what we try to do at the end of our chair workshop that we do, our traditional chair workshop, is an opportunity for them to get in the spray booth with Matt. And the spray booth is part of the nanotechnology program, but we do have access to schedule that. We try to get people in there just to learn a little bit about what it's about. So if they're interested long-term, they can learn a little bit more about it, or maybe in their own careers, maybe they actually hook up with a finisher that can help them with some larger projects. And with that being the case, then at least they have some terminology and they know some basics of what they're asking, to be able to have a dialogue with that. But like I said, most of what we do are hand applied finishes. And depending on the scale of work that you plan to do in the future, if you're doing a lot of cabinet work or things like that, it's not practical or prudent to be doing hand applied finishes. So you might get into spraying or hook up with a finisher, but if you're really just doing small projects, one-off projects, custom print, then something like a hand applied finish is more than acceptable. So
That's great. I just saw a question come across the chat here, Dan, and I'm gonna see if I can tackle it based on listening to you and observing what's happening here.
Yep.
Someone asked if restoration was part of the program, and what I've learned here, and tell me if I'm right or wrong here, Dan, is I think by making something, you'll make mistakes along the way that you'll have to repair. And in a sense, I get that conservation and restoration are kind of complex pieces on their own. But I think there is a certain amount of repair, at least, that you can learn through making. And that's different than learning construction by starting with demolition.
yeah, and also you have that in your own projects, but we do have some restoration that happens here. There are some students that get interested in it. There are projects that are donated to us that we will. They're not part of our everyday curriculum, but they'll happen in your 2 years. So you'll see things that happen, and also people that are really interested in it. We try to hook them up with alumni who are willing to share with that. Like we have a couple of folks right now in their fourth semester. They're graduating in another month, but they're really interested in restoration work. And we have an alumni that's just outside of the city of Boston. He's in Lynn, Mass, Ron Trapasso, and Ron's going to take them in and kind of share his knowledge from the past 50 years of doing restoration work. So anyways, we have those hookups. We try to bring those folks in. So you do kind of learn through your own mistakes and what's going on here. You'll get exposure to it. But it's also, I actually got into doing restoration work after I graduated here. I was interested, and I went and worked with people. I worked with Ron Trapasso for a couple of years.
That's great.
Restoration work, so.
This reminds me too, Dan, and in hearing you talk about connecting people, I'm reminded of, I want to say, Dimitri, I think had wanted to go a little bit deeper into carving. And I know you have a reputation as a master carver, yet you connected him with someone so that he could go and take a workshop somewhere and come back.
Yeah, so if somebody has a real specific interest and they want to take one aspect of what we do, like we kind of have an approach to give a little bit of everything. We're mainly focused on how to build. We're mainly focused on construction. We teach a little bit of carving. We teach a little bit of marquetry. Teach a little bit of inlay and banding. And it really depends on the student's interest in kind of where they are ability-wise as they're here. But if they take a shine to something in particular, we want to try to hook them up with somebody who's really proficient in that. Maybe they're the master of that craft. Maybe they're just really well versed in that technique. So somebody like Dimitri, we hooked him up with Demetrius Klitstis, who's a carver in Massachusetts, but he's a Grecian trained master wood carver. And I think about the carving that we do is really furniture embellishment. It's a certain scale, where somebody like Demetrius is a master carver, will carve anything from the furniture scale up to a full crucifix of Jesus. I've seen that in his work too.
Wow.
So it's, but I think what's nice about our particular place is we have such a wide net of connections and friends of the school that we can help, bridge it all over the country. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Dan, do you have any advice for anybody in the audience for if they're thinking of coming in this direction?
What I would say is I know it's hard not to be intimidated. Everybody that comes here, no matter where they've been and what they've done, they always look around when they first come in. It's like, how am I ever going to do that? And I was the same way. I think I was fortunate. I was young. Like I said, like you said, I came out of high school and I didn't know what I didn't know. And that was helpful. It was kind of like, you know, I was a blank slate. But if you can take the intimidation part of that out of there, the program is set up to help you succeed. Our goal is to give you as much information as we can, help you get through the projects in the best way we can, and match the projects to your ability at that given time. And that'll change in your 2 years while you're here. So if you can get over that part of, like I said, of not feeling like you're good enough or anything like that, we all feel that way when we start. And it's amazing what you'll be able to do. If you're willing to put in the time and the commitment, then you will succeed here as a student. There's no doubt.
That's very helpful. Dan, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Alex, what about yourself? Any advice for our audience here?
Yeah, the thing that I'm glad that I did before I came here was practice sharpening. And we do it differently here, but and translated well. So just practice, because if you can get your tools sharp, it makes everything else.
That's great. Alex, thanks so much. All right. So that is our cabinet and furniture making program, 18-month accredited career training. I am going to head down. This is me, everybody. I'm the director of admissions here at North Bennett Street School for the full-time accredited career training programs. I did mention earlier that we are still taking applications for the spring start. We have a January 31st start in jewelry making and repair, in violin making and repair, and also in locksmithing and security technology, where we're heading now, as well as cabinet and furniture making, where we just came from. So if you have any interest, you can visit our website, nbss.edu, and there's an application form there. You can get that started. You can reach out to myself and the admissions and financial aid team. Sharon Stetson, who I might add, is on the chat. And then I also want to give a shout out to our Zoom tech crew. That's Io and Barbara. Thank you so much. And then with me here also are my friends May and Lee. They are working with sound and video, and what we're doing is we're live here on the phone as we go through Zoom. And thank you all of you for joining us today. We are at the same time recording this with video and sound to put an edit together later for people to watch. I know sometimes the sound is a little bit of a challenge. The other day, I think the saw or the grinder canceled out some sound. So we'll be able to eliminate that. And when we share this again after winter break, you'll be able to see this again, and it'll be a quality experience. So right now I'm walking into locksmithing and security technology. We're going to see the space. We're going to meet a faculty member, the head of the program, Eddie Dacius, and we'll see the space and talk to the students and faculty. So let me turn my camera around here. And here we are in locksmithing and security technology, a 9-month program. North Bennett Street School programs are, we're accredited by the ACCSC as a career program, and we function on clock hours instead of credit hours like academic higher education. So when you can see all of this information on our website, but locksmithing and security technology is the shortest length of time for career training. It is just over 900 hours, I believe. Eddie, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you.
You too.
So Eddie is the head of locksmithing and security technology, and you just came on board with us just late this summer, right?
Yes.
And I also have the pleasure of working with Eddie. He's a graduate of the program, and I don't remember how many years ago it was. We don't have to say, but not too long ago.
80 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so, what are you up to now, Eddie?
So I have the first semester. They're working on the bench. Everybody's assigned to a project. Some are working on modest lock. Some are doing picking. Others are doing impressioning. So this is part of the first semester curriculum where we have any student come in and then be familiar with the lock. And after the first semester, they're gonna go on the second semester, which is the installation room, which we will see later on. That's what we're working on now. So everybody's excited. Everybody's assigned a bench. They have their own tools, and they just walk in the journey of locksmithing.
Cool. And will you give us a tour of the space, if you would, Eddie?
Yes, definitely. So before we go, we can take a look at the different decorative locks around. So you can be familiar with what we're seeing there. This is leather set for Schleg, different finish. And you can see the finishes. You can see right there, this is the entry residential locks. We're gonna be installing them, and they are very beautiful. And you can see them on beautiful houses. This is part of locksmithing.
Right, so there's residential and commercial.
Yeah. So we'll be working on both. And after your 900 hours, you'll be complete certified locksmith, and then you can work anywhere in terms of being a shop locksmith, or you will be on a road, or you can go further for more education.
That's great. And I think this is something about all of our programs is, you know, these programs are about the fundamentals where you go through the curriculum, you get the skill and the confidence, but each one of these industries, including locksmithing and security technology, is about lifelong learning.
Yes, it's a career at the end of the day, because when you become a registered locksmith or certified locksmith, you can get into safe, where you become a safe technician. You can be working on forensic, you can be working automotive, and you can be working as an institutional locksmith for colleges, hospital, where you'll be the locksmith providing security. So the way we like to say, a locksmith provides security. It's a security technician where we work with clients to make sure they secure their belonging, the most love, their building, the people. So at the end of the day, any locksmith should consider themselves as a safety technician. And quickly, before we go to the bench room,
sure,
this is an access zone where later in the program, everybody gonna be working on access control. Access control is now the trend where we have smart watch, smart lock, and automotive homes. So one thing I can quickly show you with this access control, this is an electrified trim, electrified hinges. The door is locked now, but if I put the code, and then the code will allow me to get in. So the code is, now we just open the door with the system. Every student will know how to work on those doors, install a keypad, door closers, latch and strike, and then this is an access device we're gonna be installing. So this is a great opportunity to have this install where everybody can have a chance to install every component of the lock device. So right now it's locked. When you put the code, you unlock it.
And so this reminds me, Eddie, that there, with electronic access and with technology, I think it's important for people to understand that underneath electronic access is always this mechanical foundation. And I think that's important because even if you have something like, you know, a Star Trek spaceship that can read your iris and you go into a door, someone on the crew has a mechanical override in order to make that access.
No, well said, because like you said, this is mechanical. We're gonna be installing the door lock set. That's a key. Those are the hinges, heavy duty hinges. We are installing them. So, but this one, the good thing about them is they are electrified, where with the access control right here, I put my code, give me access, and then the door opens. That's the beauty with the combination of electronic and mechanical. That's why we work as a locksmith. And we can go to the bench room now.
That's great. And just before we head into the bench room, I love when I come in here with prospective students, this image right here, which is the key,
cylinder, lock, and the door. That's the basic formation of any lock, where there will be always a key, there will be a cylinder, there will be a lock, which is gonna be on the door.
I also feel like the bench rooms break down in a little bit like this too, right?
Yes.
Key and cylinder where we're going.
Yes, that's what we're gonna see. So we have students working now. Everybody's assigned there in the bench.
Oh, that's great. And we have space in the first year bench room to usually bring in about 8 new students.
Yes.
And again, this program is 9 months and has a start on January 31st. And then also has a start on September 6th.
Yes.
So twice a year.
Twice a year, yep. Twice a year we have students here. But one thing I wanted to show you, this is a key wall where this is all residential and commercial keys. It's a beautiful wall, well organized, give us an idea of what keys we're looking for. And this section, this is North American, which is considered as automotive lock, where you're gonna see old keys or new keys for cars. And we have different cylinders here. This is a motor cylinder. So everybody can be assigned. This is a Yale motor cylinder. We have Schlage, we have Sargent, different brand. And this is all the keys we have in all the parts where student will have hands-on on them and then working on their bench. Right now, we have some student working on impressioning. So he's trying to make a key and to fit this cabinet lock. And he's trying to decode the key without knowing the code. So this is part of the program we do.
That's great. And then you also in this section will learn about key cutting and machines,
Yes.
Safety, maintenance, usage.
Yes. So follow me. If we go on this side, we have student working on motor slot. So it's picking. Picking is one technique we teach where you lost the key or the customer lost the key, but we need to pick the cylinder to open it. And we're looking at different machine. This is a blitz machine where you cut a key with a card. And this allows you to have the appropriate card, put it in, and and then you cut the key or you duplicate the key with the right code or biddings. This is a duplicator, a semi-duplicator. You have a key, you want to make another copy, you use the old key, and then you use the new key, and then you make a copy with the exact bidding. Same, this is also a duplicator. So we have different machine, and all the way to that bench, there's a different machine for keys, cut keys.
That's great. And I just want to share for our audience at home, while locksmiths will sometimes have to pick locks, I just want to be clear that as an institution, we, and as part of the admissions requirements for this program and jewelry making and repair, we do run a criminal background check for people. The main reason that we do that is because as an employee, we want to make sure you're employable, but you'll need to get bonded by your employer. And if you have a felony on your record, you're unable to be employed. And so we want to make sure up front that you've got the ability to be employed once you come through the program.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a key machine by code, ITIN 9000. So you put the code and then they cut the key without any movement. So you put any code, and then after you put the code, everything works, and then they give you the key according to the code you put in. And there's a computer that can allow us to find different code or different manufacturer. And this is a great key machine. This is a multi-lock key machine. So we have different key machine available in the industry. So we'll be working, everybody gonna be certified, know how to operate this machine safely.
That's great. And I think another thing I think of is, about lifelong learning. Locks, for as long as locks have been around, there have been criminals that have worked very hard to defeat the safety features.
Yes.
And then there have been locksmiths that then work against that every cycle. And as I see this, the multi-tool, it's not multi-lock. If I remember correctly, I think this is a company maybe out of Israel. And the keys are very interesting looking. They have, thanks, Eddie.
So different keys. This is very, very complex key.
Right. And I think in our old building, we used some of those keys.
We did. So this is a multi-lock key. So that's a machine for the key. This is all the lock set using for multi-lock. And as you can see, we have a manual duplicator. And this is a tubular lock, vending machine, ATM. Those are the key, laundromat keys. We can cut them, duplicate them. This is the machine we use for them. And this is a tubular lock, padlock. So we use, so that's the lock. That's the cork lock, opens it. So we can copy them, we can make a new, we can use a blank. So this is the training we provide to any student that comes here and they are certified to duplicate any keys, and then they have the blank. We provide them the blank and they have the knowledge to work on them.
That's great.
So last machine, this is a punch machine for small format IC core. So small format IC, it's for best or for Falcon. So this is a 6-pin or 7-pin cylinders, so which is mostly commercial. And then this punch is for Schlag only, where you can make a cut with using the Schlag different bidding. This is a great machine. So this is our tools, or this is our locks, very old locks, our modest lock, tubular cylindrical locks, around here where student can take and then have hands-on.
And I think part of the point, Eddie, is that when you go, especially probably residential, you're going to run into, a house that may have something that's from, I don't know, maybe as old as the 1700s or something,
Yes.
but then also is going to have something like the access control you showed us in the
Yes.
beginning.
Yeah, definitely. So the way we train our students is to give them the new and the old contemporary lock where the knowledge is fresh and they can tackle of any situation as a locksmith, either residential or commercial.
That's great. So this is this concept of problem solving.
Problem solving, yes. So, yep. So this is the bench room where, like you said, 8 students, everybody is assigned their toolbox, and then they're working on different projects right now.
That's great. Hey, Sonny, how are you?
Good, how are you, Ron?
Good. Will you talk to us for a minute?
Yeah, sure. As of right now, I'm working on a lock called the L9000, and it's an entry lock. As of right now, I'm serving this. I'm serving this lock, figure out what's the problem inside, and then following the diagram, we're putting all the parts back together and making sure it's working. So yeah.
That's great. And is this like more of a commercial setup we're looking at?
Yes, it's a more commercial setup where you see it. Majority of the lock you see in this is more like in the entrance lock where where you enter the door. This will be on the inside the door, so you will not see this whole part, but you will see the dead latch and the latch, which the latches in the lock, and and with the motor cylinders in there. The motor cylinders goes on part of the lock, so where you can turn the key.
Right.
So yeah.
Cool. And then Sonny, will you share with us your story about what you were doing before and kind of how you found the locksmithing program at North Bennett Street School?
So my last high school called Madison Park Techno-Vocational High School. I took 4 years of facades maintenance there. I do a little bit of everything like drywall, carpentry, and many more.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's the thing. During the summer of my sophomore year, I came to North Bennett for the program for carpentry upstairs for two months.
That's right.
And I got the basic certification for basic carpentry. And give me a second. Sorry. What I did there, it caught my attention. Where when we did the exploratory, where we go around the shops like violin, locksmithing, and all that stuff. Locksmith at first, locksmith got me a little attention. So, we're learning about locks and all that stuff. So after I took carpentry, another 2-3 years, and my senior year, I made a project. And I was asking my question to say, who invented the locks? Who invented doorknobs? I was questioning myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I did some real low research. 4000 BC, 4000 BC, Egypt made the first lock, where it was a simple and base, where they have this same kind of mechanism. It's made out of wood, and it's like little tumblers in there too, where you can access, open and close. And then I got interested, and then next thing you know, I joined here.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah.
Cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yep.
Sonny, any advice for anyone who is thinking of coming in this direction? Something maybe you didn't know before you got started that you feel like, hey, I want to share with people.
Let's see. If you come to the program for locksmithing, come here, do your best, and it's really fun. It's more like a lot of hands-on and experience, and I like, for me, I like the program because I'm doing something new every day.
Right.
Figuring out, I'm doing problem solution, figuring out what's wrong with the lock and fixing it. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sonny, thank you so much.
No problem.
What else can you show us, Eddie?
Yeah, before we go to the installation room, so we're gonna take a look at the library where people can see how many locks, other locks we have, and then different book. So if you're somebody who like to invest, like Sonny said, you wanted to find out about the history of lock, this is our library, and you can see there's a lot of books, different brand where you can take time and then learn more about any type of lock, any brand you want, definitely. And this section is access control, where we were talking about electrified locks. So this gonna be our demonstration where this lock gonna be electrified and will be controlled by a keypad. And we're gonna be installing them. We're gonna be working them and then diagnosis them too. So like you can see, so this is different manufacturer, different book, giving you more ideas about locks. And you can see we have decorative hardware on top to show the variety of locksmithing wherever you can end up being working as a locksmith.
Eddie, this reminds me of, I want to say when new students start, there's a collection of books that are part of the toolkit. Some of them are about learning about pins and things. The one that I'm always struck by is the vocabulary with the diagrams.
Yeah, so it's a glossary. So I'm glad you mentioned that because this is a challenge we have for the student. We lay out different parts and then their job is to identify those parts. What are they? And then what's their function? So we're not gonna put any name and everybody gonna come in and then take one lock and then say, oh, this is a modest lock. So this is a tool. This is a lock set. So this is a key and a padlock. So that's part of the learning process where you need to know and identify each part as you work on them.
So it's like the industry of locksmithing has its own language. And I want to say in that book, from what I remember, there's something like 1,200 words that are specific.
Specific, yes.
And so everyone gets that glossary. Do you have a quiz every once in a while, or is this is what we're looking at here?
So we combine it. We're trying to be flexible because everybody have different learning style.
Great.
So the way we do it, we do quiz and we do identifying.
Visual.
So it's a challenge where we put a group, whoever can identify the most win the challenge, to kind of have everybody stimulate their knowledge to know, though, this is a key, this is a cylinder. So now they know what type of cylinder it is. And then when they work on them, they understand and they can tell the customer what they need, or they can order their parts if they're working on a big project.
That's great.
So like we said, we're gonna go on the installation room. So this is the second semester where every student is gonna be assigned. Every student is assigned a bench, and then they're gonna have a door assigned to them where they're gonna be working on installing door closers, different lock, different devices on this door. And this is very fun. This is a lot of fun in terms of installing it, where you follow a template and then you draw the hole, you put the lock, and then you make it work. So this is mostly installation. This is second semester. So behind you, you're gonna see different lock we're gonna be installing.
And these spaces here where the blanks are, Eddie, is this so that you can work with different materials?
Yes, so we have slab. I can grab one.
Oh, yeah.
Different slab. So wood slab we cut to fit this side. So everybody, if they made a mistake, they can get a new one and then still working on their project. So we have, like you can see, we have a pile of woods here ready to be installed for students. And this is metal door. We're gonna be working on metal doors too, where Adam's White front entrance door, they need to be installed where you need a mortise slot on them, especially on front door for retail store, offices. That's our job. That's what we're gonna be doing second semester, mostly installation.
That's great. And I'm sorry I got you on the slabs, but I feel like you were gonna show us something over here.
Yes. So over here, this is a Simplex L1000. This is old, but we're still gonna find them around.
Yep.
But
there's a keypad.
Keypad, which that's a first generation keypad, one of the first generation keypads where it's mostly mechanical. Nothing here is electronic, it's mechanical.
Huh.
And we can reset the combination and we're gonna be installing them on the door. So like I said, we have multiple locks ready. Any student can grab one and then they're gonna be installing their lock as they go.
That's great. You mentioned safes earlier too, and I see up behind you are a number of, what are those
Combination safe. So this is for students to work on. So, or to reset the combination. So if they're working on the safe, they know there's different manufacturer, but we work with this template where we assign every student to try to help them decode. We put a new combination and then I'll work on the safe.
And then safes are kind of like an industry within this industry.
Yes.
And one of the things that I find fascinating about locksmithing and security, and I think this is true of our other programs too, is we want you to have a focus to come here where you know this is something that you like, but at the same time, as you go through the curriculum, as you get exposed to different things, you may think you want to do something and then work with this combination set and get very excited, then get a job opportunity, and then, then you're in safes.
Yeah, so, and well said, because safe is it's an industry in that industry of locksmithing where if you work on safe, you're just dedicated to be working on safe. You're gonna be working on bank, safe, and you're gonna work on installing safe for customers, for businesses. So this is a big set right there. The Sentry safe, where nobody gonna know the combination, they need to open it. And this is very fun. This is very, very exciting because you don't know the code, but you're gonna try to get different techniques to find out what's the code of that Sentry safe is. And behind, that's where you're gonna reset it when you open it. So that's the idea of working on safe. And right there, so we have different mechanisms. So door closers, turn knob, Adam's White for front entrance door glass. So we're gonna be installing them. So that's the idea of the second semester, which is focused on mostly installation.
That's great. And tell us about job opportunities and things like that, Eddie, if you will.
So after you finish the program, you have a big, you touch many different areas of the industry. So you have the basic to work anywhere where you can be working as a technician in the shop, You can work in a wood as a wood service guy for a locksmith, and you can also go on the entry level as an institutional locksmith, where you work for a hospital. They take you under their ring, they give you training, and then you do basic installation, basic repair and diagnosis. And if that's something you like, you can go further for education. And you can also work as an automotive guy, where you do key, you work for a company that does automotive only. Or there's different areas. So I cannot say, but there's different opportunities where as a locksmith, you have a path to take.
Right. And to share with everybody in our audience, Eddie will get phone calls from employers, and then also our Director of Student Life Career Services. We have a website where employers can list jobs, and then those get shared with alumni and students. This program also, I believe, once you're through first semester, you have enough skill and confidence that you can go and work in a potentially a paid internship.
Yes, definitely. So like Webb said, the school is well known and nationwide. People all over the place request our students, and mostly local. We have people usually request us to have student to work for them as an intern. And after they finish the program, they usually hire them for full time. This is what we trying to do, and we teach you, or we get you the trade to get you out there and then working.
Did you do an internship your second semester as a student,
No.
Eddie?
No, so I wanted to do institutional locksmith. After I finished, I got a job to work as an institutional locksmith, which got me there, and then go further on my education.
That's great.
But that's one thing we do too, and I'm glad you mentioned that, where we bring other people, reps, people in the industry that are gonna come and then talk about their career and different opportunity. That's what happened to me, where there was an Asabloy rep. He came and then was talking about institutional locksmith, and that got me involved, falling in love with institutional locksmith, which guide me to this path to be a certified locksmith right now.
Oh, that's great. Cool. Thank you for sharing.
No problem. So like we can see, this is different tools, different parts we're gonna be installing. So this is a lock set for residential, beautiful lock set. You're gonna be installing them yourself. And you can see up there. So this is different combination for lock set. So that's the beauty of the second semester, which is installation, different part.
That's great. Cool. And then Eddie, do you have any advice for any of our viewers, anyone who's thinking of coming in this direction?
Yeah, so my advice is locksmithing is diverse. There's a lot of opportunities where I heard stories from people, they started locksmithing, now they become a salesperson. They started their own business, or they're working on their dream job where they're working on safe. You can work on forensic, where you work with law enforcement authorities. If there was an issue with a lock, with your expertise, you can guide them to determine what was happening, if the lock was safe or not. But at the end of the day, I think this school help people find a purpose. Me, when I came in this school, I didn't know that I was somebody who liked paying attention to detail. Locksmithing is just about paying attention to detail, because there's no shortcut. You have to do it the right way. And that's what we do here. We teach you the right way to be a certified locksmith and go on your career.
Eddie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the tour and all the information here.
Thank you. Appreciate it too.
You got it. All right, so I'm gonna turn back around if I can. Here I am again with everybody. Eddie, thanks again, and you have a great day.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining us for this tour of locksmithing and security technology here at North Bennett Street School. I mentioned at the top that we are still taking applications for our January 31st start here. So please take a look at our website, and you can join us also this Friday at 11 a.m. I'll be talking about admissions requirements, the process, financial aid, and scholarship. We are an accredited institution. So that means that you can apply for financial aid through FAFSA. And once you apply through FAFSA, we will automatically consider you for the full range of North Bennett Street School scholarship. We have upwards of $700,000 in scholarship support that's available for a student body of about 150 students across these 9 programs. So as you've heard from many of the students that are here, we're looking for people that are ready, willing, and able to train here. We encourage you to move forward, to inquire whatever your process is for figuring out if this is the right place for you and your career goals. We want to help you. We want to meet you where you are. We want to support you and support our mission as a nonprofit career training institution. You can join us tomorrow where we're going to visit jewelry making and repair and violin making and repair at 10 and 11 again. And we will be on Friday visiting our bookbinding program at 10 a.m. and again followed by that info session at 11. Thank you all for joining us. As I also mentioned earlier, my friends May and Lee have been taking video and sound so that if you're just joining us now, if you want to refer back to this, you want to share this with friends, after the winter break, we'll be sharing this so that that people can visit and tour all around. Last point I will make for the day is we are able to have visitors in person in small groups of up to 5. So I would say my department is going to prioritize prospective students, especially for this spring and fall. So please do contact us, admissions@nbss.edu. Thank you again for everyone. Thank you, Provost Claire Fruitman, for the introduction. Faculty, students at North Bennett Street School, and our tech crew as well. Have a great day, everyone.